Your music, your station. My name is Jeff Badu, and I'm a licensed certified public accountant in the state of Illinois. I'm the owner and practitioner of my firm, Badu Tax Services. And my firm specializes in tax preparation, tax planning, and tax representation services for individuals and businesses. So today's topic of discussion is really about building wealth in real estate, one of the biggest money makers in the world, if not the biggest one. Just talking about, for one, why you should get involved in real estate investing, and then I'll be sharing 3 different strategies in order to build wealth using real estate. But before that, we'll kick it off with a market week, and this is a report as of May 26, 2017, so last Friday. So following 2 weeks of losses, equities rebounded last week, with each of the benchmark indexes posting week-over-week gains, led by NASDAQ, which climbed over 2% for the week and is up 15% since the beginning of the year. I mean, if you've been investing in tech stocks, you've probably been doing really well so far. And then the S&P 500 reached another record high last Friday, posting its largest weekly gain since the end of April. The global Dow advanced less than 1%, but is up almost 10% so far since the beginning of the year. So the stock market has been doing really well this year. Honestly, this has probably been the best year that I've ever seen in the market, and I've been following the market for about 5 years now. The price of crude oil fell back last week after the prior week's increase, closing at $49.79 per barrel, which is down from the prior week's closing of $55.3 per barrel. And then the price of gold increased almost 1.15%, closing at $12.70, which is up from $12.55.70. So the market has been doing really well overall. I don't know one thing that's doing bad right now as far as markets are concerned. So it's been a great year, so I really hope that everyone has been taking advantage of all these positive things happening in the market. But to get into the meat of the presentation, so talking about building wealth in real estate. And I would say that real estate is probably the best investment that you can ever make in life. The reason why is because people will always need a place to live and a place to do business. I mean, look where you are. Wherever you're standing right now, you're probably on some real estate. As a matter of fact, we're all standing on real estate because the concrete or the land is all real estate. So everywhere, everybody is on a piece of real estate right now, unless you're in an airplane or something. But the reason why I say real estate is the best investment in the world is because everybody needs it. And then it's also a really nice way to build long-term tax-free wealth, which is very important. So if you're looking to minimize your taxes, you should probably do it through real estate. And I'll be teaching you some of the different strategies in order to build tax-free wealth in real estate. And then, so really, real estate, there's a bunch of strategies out there. I mean, to be honest, I've read about 30 different strategies in real estate investing. But I'll be sharing 3 of the most popular strategies, as well as a bonus strategy. So let's start with the first 3 strategies. So you have wholesaling, buying and flipping, and buying and holding. So wholesaling is essentially the process of assigning a contract. So you get a real estate contract and you're assigning it to an investor, also known as a cash buyer. So a way to make money, wholesaling is a process of you don't put any of your money into the whole deal, the whole process. You don't put a penny, you don't put anything. So it's a really good way of using other people's money, or OPM, which is one of my favorite things to do in life, is using OPM. So with wholesaling, it can be a little difficult to understand, but honestly, there's 5 really simple steps, or 5. There's like 5. The process involves 5 very critical but easy steps. So the first step is finding what's known as a motivated seller. So this is somebody that's really looking to get rid of their property. Maybe a bank who's holding on to this property for too long. Maybe somebody foreclosed on it. Maybe you have a buyer who has a divorce and needs to liquidate their assets. Maybe somebody died and passed it to their kids, but their kids don't know what to do with the property, so they're looking to get rid of it, which basically known as an estate sale. Or it's just something that motivates somebody to sell the property. And the reason why you want to motivate a seller is because they'll sell you this property at a pretty steep discount. And so you can maybe find a 50% discount on the property, and that's how you really make the profit, is that you're finding things at wholesale and you're ultimately selling it to somebody for retail, or that person, so you're assigning it to a cash buyer so that they can sell it at retail. So the first step is finding a motivated seller. There's a bunch of different sources out there. You have MLSs, maybe you have a foreclosure list or something like. There's just a bunch of different sources out there. So once you find a motivated seller, you ultimately have to analyze the deal. So you have to look at the ARV. What the after repair value is on a property. So with these properties, you're typically finding them properties that are essentially, they need some work done. And so your ARV is essentially what you're going to sell it for after you've done all your repairs and everything like that. And ARV is really based on comps or comparables within the area, maybe with the same bedrooms, same square footage, same bathrooms, all the different comps in the area. So you can literally have a house that looks exactly the same in one area, but costs way less in another area. The exact same house, it can be twins basically, but if you put them in different areas, they're going to be priced differently, because real estate is all about location. Location is the most important thing in real estate. And so ARV, this is the number that your potential buyer or your potential cash buyer, that's the number they're interested in. And so analyzing the deal, you have your ARV. You also have things like carrying costs, how much is going to cost for the person to hold this asset. You also have your repair costs, how much is going to cost for a contractor to fix it up. You have a bunch of these different tools, technologies, and things like that. And so ultimately, what you're looking to get is how much you're going to sell the property for, and then how much are you going to propose to this motivated seller. And so once you factored in the ARV, the after repair value, you figured out the repair costs, you figured out the carrying costs, closing costs, and then ultimately you also factor in how much do you want to make on a wholesale deal. So a wholesale deal is literally you finding a good deal, a good property, and then doing all the analysis and everything like that, and then transferring. So you do all of that, and then ultimately you make an offer, hopefully you get the offer accepted. Once you get the offer accepted, you assign it to a cash buyer, and then the cash buyer takes the contract, and then they pay you a fee, or you can call it a commission. And this can range anywhere from about, let's say, $5,000 to up to, maybe if it's a really big deal, maybe $500,000, even $1 million. I know some people that have made $1 million just wholesaling properties. But that's really the steps. So first you find a motivated seller. Second, you analyze the deal. And then the third thing you want to do is, once you've analyzed the deal, you've seen it's a good deal, you know exactly how much you want to offer. You might want to go a little lower, just in case the seller is not willing to accept that price, or just in case, just to leave you some wiggle room. You never want to throw a number like 102,559. You want to throw a number like 100,000 just to make it even. So once you do, so you make the offer to the seller, and hopefully the seller accepts the offer. Now, 9 times out of 10, they're probably not going to accept it. They're going to make a counter offer, which is perfectly fine, as long as it falls within your profit range or within your price range or your wiggle room analysis. As long as that happens, let's say the seller makes the counter offer, you accept the counter offer. Now, guess what? You have a contract. You have a contract that's binding typically for 30 days. And then what you do is you find somebody with a lot of money, or you find maybe somebody that's looking to buy some properties. You say, hey, I have this really good deal. I've done all the analysis. Here you go. You want to take a look at it? I have it under contract, so nobody else. Here's the benefit of having it under contract. Nobody else can take over that contract unless you legally assign it to somebody. And so what you would do is they say, okay, this is a really good deal. I have the money to pay for it. You assign a contract to them. You collect your $10,000, $50,000, or whatever your fee is. And now they have the contract. But guess what? They're also in a win-win situation, because what they're going to do is they're going to find so for one, they're going to complete all the documents and everything, get the property in their name, find a contractor who's going to fix up the property, and then they either flip it by making a very significant amount of profit. So let's say you're making, as a wholesaler, you're making $10,000. They're probably going to make $60,000. I typically base the fee at 10% of whatever the profit is going to be. And so if this is going to make you $100,000, I'm going to charge you at a minimum $10,000 for that. And so that's really wholesaling, is that you're finding a good deal, you put it on the contract, and you assign that contract to somebody who has the money to pay for it. You're probably wondering, why would the seller... So how do you get the property on the contract if you don't have the money? Well, you would provide, if upon request, you provide what's known as a proof of funds, which you can get a bunch of these letters from different lenders. I would say before getting into real estate, you want to establish some sort of network, or maybe a system, or maybe have your contracts in place. And you don't need a realtor or anybody to do anything like this. You can really do this whole process, with you, and then just making sure that all your documents are aligned. And so once you assign a contract to the cash buyer, you're out that deal. Now you're gone. You've made your money. You've made your $10,000, and then guess what? You repeat it once again. So that's essentially what wholesaling is all about. You're just transferring a contract, a good deal, to somebody else. So it's great for people starting out, don't have much money to invest. You can make a killing off wholesaling alone. So it's a really, really great opportunity. You can make a ton of money. Your number one skill, you have to know how to pick out good deals. If you don't know how to pick out good deals, then you won't be successful at wholesaling. And remember, there are websites, apps, all these things that will do all the work for you. You can even have a virtual assistant who's doing all the deal analysis for you. Or actually, with some of these apps, it doesn't even take that long. Now I can find a deal, I can analyze a deal, and then I can try to make an offer, all done within, let's say, about 30 minutes. And then ultimately assigning that deal to a cash buyer so that they can go ahead and flip their deal. So there's less profit potential with this than fixing and flipping, because the fixing and flipping is where the money is made. But remember, you don't have that type of money right now. So in order to find cash buyers, there's a bunch of different sites, a bunch of different apps out there. Just try to establish a good network of cash buyers. Maybe they're sitting right next door to you. Who knows? And then, so you don't need a real estate license. This is not something that you need a license to do. You can do this with none of your own money involved. You can do this while sitting at a living room table. You don't even have to go look at the property. You just have to know how to find a deal. It's all over the internet. Analyze the deal. Call up the seller saying, this is how much money I have, yes or no. And either make a counter offer or something like that. And then you ultimately find your cash buyer and you transfer the deal to them. So if you, let's say you do have money, or let's say you've been wholesaling for a while, then you're like, okay, I want to make some more money. I actually want to be the one that's actually flipping the deals now. So then you have fix and flip. So fix and flip is basically the same thing as wholesaling, but now you're not assigning the contract to anyone. You're just removing the middleman, or I guess the end buyer, which is the cash buyer. You're removing the cash buyer from the process. Now you're the cash buyer, or you can find a hard money lender. Hard money lender is basically someone with a lot of money to lend. They give you pure cash, and then it's an asset-backed loan, meaning that if you're not able to do a good deal, they just take the property, they fix it up themselves, and then hope to sell it for more than, whatever. Because ultimately, a hard money lender will not fund, they won't fund a bad deal. They have their own analysis tools. They know how much you can potentially make on the property. And so a hard money lender is only going to finance good deals ultimately. And yeah, so, and you're always more than welcome. If you're a millionaire, you can always do stuff like this. I mean, you can make a killing just doing fix and flip. And then, so basically the same steps as wholesaling. You find a motivated seller, analyze the deal, make an offer, and then now you're bringing in your own contractor, and you're ultimately the one that's flipping. I mean, you're the one that's fixing up, or your contractors are the one fixing up the home. And then, voila, you flip it, make your money, $50,000, $1 million, whatever the profit is. You keep it. You pay your hard money lender whatever their fees are. You pay whatever closing costs you need to, and you go to the next deal. And so this is great. This is great for people with more money to invest or more skin in the game. They want to have more skin. And then you can actually find the deals from a wholesaler, or you can do all the work yourself through apps and things like that. And so now you're essentially a retailer. So you went from wholesaling to retailing. And that's what fixing and flipping is. You're a retailer. You're fixing it up and then giving it to somebody else, maybe a first-time home buyer, a family or something like that. They just see this beautiful, gorgeous house, and they want to buy it, and they'll buy it at full retail price. And then, and so with that, you have much more profit potential than wholesaling, even though wholesaling is still a pretty profitable business. But also keep in mind, of course, there's much more risk. There's more skin in the game. Now you're actually the one that's, there's some pressure on you now, which can be a good and a bad thing, because the more pressure, the more money to be made. And then with this strategy, you can actually never pay taxes. Like 100% not pay a dime in taxes from the strategy. All you have to do is when you make your money, don't go to Vegas. Don't go to Ghana and spend it. Don't play blackjack with it. What you do is you use the money and put it into another property. And this qualifies as a Section 1031 like-kind exchange, where you're just taking the profits that you made from the flipping deal, and then you're ultimately putting it into another property so you can fix and flip that one too. And then you have, last but certainly not least, you have my favorite one. And this is buying and holding. A wise man once told me that buying and holding never failed anybody. And so this is an excellent long-term strategy. And buying and holding is really where wealth is truly created. And so with buying and holding, it's the same process as fixing and flipping. Now you're removing one step. So you're either funding these deals by yourself or through a bank now. Now you're probably not going to have a hard money lender unless they're maybe giving you a certain amount of the money. And so really the same steps. All these steps are basically the same when it comes to real estate. Find a motivated seller, analyze a deal, make an offer, fix the home, or maybe you're just buying something that doesn't need any work, which has probably less profit potential. But you do all of that, and then ultimately you rent it out to somebody, and the rental market is very hot right now. So you rent it out to somebody, and this is how you build long-term wealth. And then with this strategy, of course, you can also avoid paying taxes through depreciation, property tax deductions. Maybe you refinance the home, take out some of the equity to buy another property tax-free. So your rental income might be taxable, but I would say for most of the tax returns that I've seen, nobody really pays taxes on real estate. I mean, it's very rare to actually have to pay taxes on real estate. So if you are paying taxes on real estate, unless you're a wholesaler, so with wholesaling, it's very hard to avoid taxes because that one is pretty speculative. So that one, there's no real like-kind exchange or anything like that because you're literally wholesaling the deals. You're not necessarily transferring one property for another. Now you're actually having real solid cash. And so with this buying and holding, it's really great for investors who are in it for the long term. Plenty of tax benefits. So there's really a lot of different ways to build wealth in real estate. And then the last or the bonus strategy is known as tax liens, tax deeds, and things like that. So that one is a little more complicated to explain. But essentially, with a tax deed, you're basically buying somebody's property who maybe has a tax debt or something like that on it, and then you're essentially snatching their property by paying the property taxes or whatever money is due on it, and then you gain possession of that property now. It's a pretty interesting strategy. That one is very complicated to actually explain. I mean, you have things like tax sales or tax liens. Where a tax sale is essentially somebody's very late on their taxes, their property taxes, which is a legal obligation in the United States. You have to pay your property taxes. But what the county is going to do is they're going to sell your property taxes to an investor like me who wants to make money. So I go ahead, I pay your property taxes, or I pay whatever deposit I need to. And now you owe me that property taxes. If you don't pay your property taxes within a certain period of time, guess what? I get to take you to court and snatch your property. So that's one way to build wealth in real estate. It's probably not the most ethical way, but at the same time, you're not being ethical in paying your property taxes either. And so that's what really tax liens and tax deeds and all. It probably warrants another segment for that. But understand that is another way to build wealth in real estate. So really there are plenty of ways to make money in real estate. I mean, this is America, the land of the free, the land of the opportunity. It's a very, very exciting time to be a real estate investor. Very, very exciting time. I would say I'm personally a real estate investor, and it's a pretty good market, especially in Chicago, to be a buyer. So I would say you can't really go wrong by investing in real estate. You do have to have the will, the patience, and all the different things that come along with it. You have to be willing to go out and create wealth. If you're sitting down on the couch and you want to invest in real estate, but you're not taking action, that's sort of a problem because you're not taking action. You must take action in order to do some of this stuff. And I kid you not when I say you can do all of this in your living room. You can flip a home inside of your living room. Your properties, make sure you're paying your property taxes. Make sure you're just try to take care of your stuff, your properties, your assets, because there are investors out there that are ready to buy them if you don't take good care of them. And so really those are really the strategies in real estate. I love real estate. I've always loved it when I was a kid. My dad is a avid real estate investor, so I sort of learned from him. But I attend a lot of seminars. I just came from a seminar. I attended a one-day seminar today, just about real estate. I wasn't expecting for it to be just his income is automatically prey to taxes. And when you can pay 0% taxes, you're keeping 100% of your income. So that sounds pretty good to me. So when it comes to investing, there's a bunch of different opportunities out there. There's an abundance of opportunities, but I would say real estate, in my opinion, is certainly one of my personal favorite